This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. It is time for Money Mondays, where we give you some really great financial information from one of our favorite financial advisors, Caleb Doane with Foster Financial. Hi, Caleb.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so Mondays, we're kicking it off with some very interesting information, and I think that this topic is a popular one, Social Security. So what will you be sharing with us today?
Yeah, so I think kind of a dilemma that a lot of people have when they retire is deciding when to turn on Social Security. And so I know a lot of times, on these Mondays we like to talk about how some of these tips affect women specifically. And so I think one of these strategies that I'll talk about a little bit today is something that a lot of women should kind of understand before they decide when to turn on Social Security.
Okay.
And there's a specific rule within the Social Security system that I think people should be aware of that will ultimately impact when they should turn it on. And that rule is if a spouse, if two spouses have differing levels of Social Security benefits, which is almost always the case, typically the breadwinner is the one who has the higher Social Security benefit. If that person passes away later on in retirement, the surviving spouse's benefit increases to what their deceased spouse had. So they kind of, in a sense, take over their spouse's Social Security and then lose their own. The IRS kind of puts it in different language. They basically say that, your benefit just gets increased to what they had before. But that should impact our decision of when to turn on Social Security. So of course, with Social Security, you can turn it on as early as age 62 or as late as age 70. And every year that you delay turning on Social Security, they tell you that your benefit is going to increase.
Right.
And it increases by kind of a substantial amount. It's about 8% every single year, kind of varies a little bit, but it's a decent increase. And so, let's say there's a husband and a wife, they're both 62 years old, they both just retired, and now they have this decision of, okay, do we turn on Social Security now? Do we both delay it? Does one of us turn it on, one of us delay it? And so I think one strategy that we've looked at using in the past is delaying the benefit for the spouse who has the higher benefit. And so, for the sake of argument, let's say the husband's benefit is $3,000 a month, the wife's is going to be $2,000 a month. Since the husband's benefit is higher, that is the benefit that's going to continue on for both of their lives if one of them passes away. So, if he passes away early, she's going to get his benefit for the rest of her life. And so if we want one of those Social Security benefits to increase the most, it's the husband's, because that's the one that's going to last for both of their lives.
Okay, and just to kind of take a step back, so I know that we discussed before just the fact that once you lock it in at the age, your Social Security does not have an opportunity to increase. So if you're saying you can choose it between 62 and 70 years old, if you lock it in at that rate at 62, you cannot ever get the increased amount. So that's why it's important what you're saying about waiting those years. So if you wait until 65, then it could increase and bump up. So you're saying if both spouses start off at 62 and they're like, okay, we're retired, you think that the men's benefit will really increase, like enough where it's worth waiting. Is that what you're saying?
So it all depends on a lot of factors, including health and everything like that, because, as we've talked about before, if you delay Social Security, typically you need to live to a certain age for that delay to have been worth it. But if they're in a situation where maybe they say, hey, we have some pensions, we have some investment income, and we really just have this small gap that we need to fill. We only need to turn on one of our Social Securities. It likely makes sense to turn on the Social Security for the person who has the lower benefit and delay it for the person who has the higher benefit. Because like you said, once you turn on that Social Security, that amount is locked in. It increases a little bit each year with cost of living adjustments, but you're giving up that roughly 8% increase by delaying it.
So what if you have two spouses and the husband activates his Social Security, the wife never does, and then the husband passes away and she's never activated her Social Security? Is that the same? It will automatically go to her, or will that only happen once she activates hers?
Oh, good question. So you're forced to turn on your Social Security at age 70 because that's the latest that you can delay that Social Security. So eventually her Social Security would be turned on either way. So in that situation, she would still get the higher of the two benefits. So I mean, if hers, let's say she's 70 years old, it's going to turn on later that year. His is whatever benefit. Maybe he's a couple years older, and so his has been on for a while.
What if she's not at the required age? Let's say that she's 60 and he passed away and he has Social Security activated. What happens to his Social Security?
Oh yeah. So that's a good question because we don't see this too often because a lot of times in that situation the wife is still working, let's say, and so all of that kind of plays a factor.
Yeah.
If she's still working at the time, a lot of times the Social Security benefits would be decreased so much that maybe her benefit, she would have to wait until she actually retires to start collecting her benefit. Because, when you're collecting Social Security, for every $2 that you earn, your Social Security is decreased by $1. And so that's why, you can turn on Social Security as early as age 62, but a lot of times people are still working at 62, right? And so we really wouldn't even think about turning on Social Security until they retire. Because if you turn it on at 62 and you're still working, making $50,000 a year, your Social Security is probably going to be zero.
Okay.
And so it's like there are just myriad of things that you have to kind of consider when you're going to turn on Social Security. And one of them is, hey, if we have these two benefits, one of them is higher, that one might be the best one to delay.
Okay. Oh, this is good. Okay, we definitely have to dive deeper into Social Security. There's so many questions, so many follow-ups. I know this conversation is going to continue. Thank you so much, Caleb. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial, we'll be sure to have their website and their phone number listed below so that you can get your complimentary consultation. And we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.